videos coming out every hour. I can't even watch them all, with the Antifa training to kill police, kill conservatives, kill talk show hosts, kill members of Congress. I mean, they go on MSNBC and say hashtag hunt Republicans. And it's just next level. And I don't know what we're supposed to do, because there's a civil war inside the government. Matt Bracken, former Navy SEAL, best-selling author, really smart guy, is joining us in this hour to talk about the waterfront, but to watch the Democrat Teamsters admit they've ordered a stand down for 2 weeks, not to ship more aid per capita than Florida or Texas got. Tens of thousands, over 10,000 just that the Navy's put in, not to mention all the other aid groups. A lot of other ships are showing up. I mean, you've got more food than they need, they're saying now, in fuel than for 6 months. But not a truck will move. They need security because the Teamsters are gangsters on the island. They're attacking the 20% of the truckers trying to get in. And they see this as a way to really take control of the island further. Trump should send in federal troops, quite frankly. And that's what he's basically getting ready to do. But, I mean, it unified the country, ladies and gentlemen, that you saw Harvey, you saw Texas, you saw people come together, and now they know that his approval rating's up, the economy's coming back, they're panicking. Matt Bracken, we've got terror attacks in all over the Western world. In France, Allah Akbar, stabbing women to death, scream until the military kills them. You've got truck attacks going on, running over a bunch of people, trying to stab police till he's shot up in Canada. You've got just, I mean, I went to a gun range day, and it was just women lined up in a jibs, firing, you know, full auto at a place where you can do that. And then I left, and I had military guys with me, and they were like, yeah, when you left, 4 more groups came in. They were like, I'm not going to get into it. I mean, and they were following me around. I mean, this country, I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy. And the Democratic Party has just absolutely done this. The deep state's done this. They've got some giant double-cross revolution, 100 years, the Bolshevik Revolution planned in the next couple months. And now they admit, that story was linked on Drudge this weekend from Paul Watson, just a whole article with their links where they're saying, we're going operational, we're going to start killing everybody, it's here. So we're going to go to Matt Bracken right now. I mean, Matt, this is everything you've been warning about for a couple of years, but you said as Antifa politically loses, they'd get violent. Now they're just, I think, the cover for more serious teams and more serious operations. I see preparation for revolution against America by Islamic and communist forces everywhere. It's crawling out of the woodwork here in Austin.
Yeah, it's true, but we're still in the battle shaping phase where there's going to be a civil war. I mean, there's no avoiding that. The train is coming down the track and the bridge is out. But the question now for the left side is shaping the perceptions of who started it. Once this thing kicks off and it's, you know, just total kinetic mayhem, then pretty soon it'll just be, well, we're in a civil war. No more free assembly, no more street demonstrations. That'll be banned. Any groups of more than 5 getting out, that'll just be banned. It'll be outlawed. But who throws the first blow is critical to shaping the opening stages of the Civil War. So what the left is trying to do is shape either a false flag provocation, which I still think is the most likely, probably somebody firing into a left-wing crowd, leaving right-wing literature at the scene. Either that or another Charlottesville type, mentally psychotic loser who will be turned into a guided missile behind the wheel of a truck, also to plow into,
you said that about 3 months ago. You said shooting into a crowd or running them over, copying the Islamic attack, and it'll probably be staged, and they'll use that as the red shirt. But Trump came out and said, hey, both sides are wrong, and that ended up basically defeating their narrative because it came out. Then Pelosi was forced to admit they were bad. But I see them kind of already flushing Antifa ahead of the next big event so they don't get the blame.
Well, but Antifa is also ramping up the white allies to go violent. There's a very telling short YouTube clip, a minute and a half yesterday, a day before, out of Berkeley, where the Latinas are telling the tall, gangly white Antifa in the black mask, stop being a poser. Stop just trying to, be a live action role player, essentially. If you want to prove you're an ally because you're a white, you're genetically evil. And she says that. If you want
tell me the name of the clip. I want to tell me the name of the clip, Matt Bracken.
I'd have to dig it up, but it's Berkeley a day and a half or so ago, day or two ago. But
there's so many clips. Who could keep track of it? Just think back. Was it something like Antifa tells white allies to get real, or what?
Yes, exactly. And the white saying, "I've been out here for months. I've been, getting beaten." And she's saying, "You're just a poser. You're just doing a masquerade. You've got to actually just walk up and punch a Nazi right now." Well, that message, I'm sure, at all levels, in not only in America,
and a Nazi is anybody that isn't a communist, anybody that doesn't hate America.
Right. Anybody who's not an avowed communist, anarcho-communist. But there are right now some pushback going on. I've seen great work by Vlad Tepes, who's a Canadian-based blogger, but he's posting stuff from Sweden, where some right-wing or at least non-communist Swedes are starting to push back against Antifa. We see it in Ottawa yesterday. A free speech rally by 500 Antifas show up, and they're mostly homeless losers that are paid to do that. There's evidence coming out about that.
Sure, we know it's synthetic.
And then the same night in Edmonton, thousands of miles to the west, you have an ISIS truck rampage trying to do a Marseille, a Nice, Barcelona attack. And we're, these are the two rungs these are the two pillars, the left and Islam. They're working together. You see it at the range with the hijab-wearing ladies being trained to shoot full auto. What are they really going to do with full auto other than, go to somewhere where there's a crowd? But it's important that the battlefield be prepared by having the mainstream media perception that a right-winger started it. As long as the first big multi-casualty massacre is perceived to have been coming from the right, then all bets will be off. And when free assembly is outlawed and we're virtually under martial law, everybody in the media will say, well, the right wing did it because this crazy person. And
I totally agree with you. They tried that with Charlottesville, but it didn't work because people saw that Antifa started it. But they'll ignore the daily Islamic attacks, the Antifa attacks. They'll use that one attack as the pretext to then launch their giant violent uprising where they just kill random cops. They believe that the local departments will capitulate to the terrorism, go under the Strong Cities initiative that's still waiting, despite Trump being in power, with the mutinous Justice Department, and that they will then have the police departments under their control politically to begin the roundup of conservatives. It's at that point that the real detonation begins. And again, I just ask the citizens out there to really be mindful of the level we've gotten to.
This plan can only work to detonate Civil War II. It's not a plan for the left to win. That can't happen.
No, that's right. They just want to destabilize and hope that after the breakdown, somehow they're able to get control. It's the old Weatherman plan to have a civil war, then later the UN comes in as a communist cover. And it sounds insane, but so does the NFL pissing on the American flag. I mean, they're making their move.
But in many respects, you can see that we're being stress tested right now. We've got North Korea tomorrow could fire an EMP over Tokyo or over Chicago, possibly. Can't rule it out. We've got Puerto Rico coming after Harvey, then Irma, then Maria. Puerto Rico is another massive stress test. This is taking Uncle Sam right to the limit of what he's capable of doing. And you're seeing Democrats and Teamsters willing to put a choke even on aid going into Puerto Rico.
I'm telling you, folks, this is like Twilight Zone. Just like Twilight Zone. I mean, the numbers of real refugees they brought in. You go to the mall, it's just Muslims everywhere now. This is Austin, Texas. They were reporting last year that out of this high school I graduated out of, Anderson High School, it was a third Muslim. And again, it isn't about bashing Muslims themselves, but they come from oppressive states. Radical Islam is the dominant force now. They're bringing in unvetted groups. There's terror attacks every day now. And Matt Bracken's a former Navy SEAL, best-selling author, research. He's got the new book out. We're going to have him back on soon just about the book itself, The Red Cliffs of Zurhon. I'm saying that right? A historical novel set in the future. But before we go any further, you got cut off by the break. I've never seen so much globalist activity. I've never seen such preparation for violence. All these army officers coming out and saying they're communist. I've got one of the articles here. West Point grad who's been in the field 2 years is socialist organizer who spreads communist propaganda relentlessly and is ready for a violent overthrow and wants to take down white people and kill capitalists. And he's staying in command while he says He hates America and shows images of throwing American flags in the trash can, wearing Che Guevara shirts, and says he hates the country. There it is, folding the flag, and then you throw it in the trash. I mean, and like, he's being celebrated. This is what this is all about, and it's like all about violence and kill the ruling class. So we got like 6 minutes. This is a short segment, longer segment coming up. Matt Bracken, I know you're saying they're affecting the battle space. They're getting us ready for it right now. I see them losing the propaganda war, the NFL having to back off, NBA backing off, Trump approval ratings up, economy coming back, but they don't seem to care. They're going full steam ahead with a civil war. And so I'm not a violent person until I'm violent. I'm not offensively violent, but I just want all the bureaucrats and globalists to know, if you think you're going to brand the Civil War going to shooting cops while they pump gas, I hope they all live to be 120 years old. If this thing all goes down, don't they know Santa Claus has been making a list and checking it twice, and all these globalist mayors and New World Order people and CEOs are deader than a hammer? I'm not going to do it, but once it starts, they're dead. We actually are the people that do things. We actually go out and do it. We don't sit there and suck on our thumbs all day. Don't they understand who they're starting to fight with? I'm not trying to act tough here, but don't these people get it?
Well, a couple days ago in Jacksonville, my area, a teenager, like an 18 or 19-year-old, kind of a punk thrown out of his family, shot a Customs and Border Patrol officer. As last I heard, he was critically injured, shot him in the head and torso. Just coming out of
Republican members of city council randomly get shot every week now. It's happening everywhere.
But they're gearing up the mentality. The people that are the fringe that are the most mentally labile, the real loose cannons out there,
the useful idiots,
are the ones that are. But they're triggered first. They're the ones that are going to pick up the gun first.
So right now they're just triggering the mentally ill masses, the low-hanging fruit.
Well, they're being triggered just because the electric current, the atmospheric current is so charged right now that the low-hanging fruit is starting to shake and fall off the tree ahead of time a little bit. But believe me, what they want is a right-wing fingerprint on a massacre.
That's right. They're trying to induct us. They're trying to get us to get into action,
which we won't. But they will eventually, and Antifa is going to shoot into a left-wing crowd, a peace moms type of crowd, and leave right-wing literature. And my message is we have to immediately be ready to push back against the false narrative, because it's going to be a Dylan Roof type of a thing, either with a psychotic right-winger or just a left-winger.
Well, didn't you see how all the white supremacist leaders a year before had been Democrat operatives at Charlottesville?
Yeah, I call that Operation Buffalo Jump. When you're herded to a ledge like that, it's pathetic and it's predictable. Just for a moment, I put this book on free today on Kindle. So if you the Kindle version is $0. This is the lead-in to Red Cliffs of Zerhoon, which is my new book, which is out right now.
No, take your time, because these are important books, because a lot of smart folks told me years ago you're a really smart guy, and you've proven that on air. So talk about the lead-in, and then talk about the new book. Yeah,
my books are near future, I call semi-dystopian. It's not like post-apocalyptic like Cormac McCarthy's The Road. I think that's way overdone. But, the grid doesn't work, GPS doesn't work. There's no more digital anything. So you either are paying with gold or you're bartering. Technology that works, like a simple radio, it'll still work if you have a battery. That's sort of the background. But the new book is a counter-jihad book all the way. It's an allegory for the defense of Western civilization when 70 schoolgirls are kidnapped from Ireland and taken to Morocco for auction as sex slaves or ransom. It's a question that the West has to ask itself. Is it a fait accompli? Do we just say, oh, well, they're gone, we lost, just accept our new dhimmi status, or do we fight back? So this novel here, Red Cliffs of Zerhoon.
I want to have you on this week for a full hour to talk about both the books, but right now let's get into this. You look at Catalonia, and as you know, it was one of the first places the Crusades started to push in the Reconquista the Muslims out, going back over 1,000 years ago. Now the Spanish government gets most of its money from Catalan. They've now brought in martial law viciously to put them under control. Well, have you seen the images of them beating men, women, and children?
Barcelona, and it's look at all of the parallels and the synchronicity. Barcelona, where the jihad attack just recently took place on Las Ramblas, the avenue, and now it's the center of the Catalan freedom independence movement. It's also Barcelona was also one of the big hotbeds and early flashpoints in the Spanish Civil War of the 1930s. So we are certainly seeing some history repeating itself, or if not repeating itself, it's certainly rhyming for sure.
And how do they get the federal police and state police to come in and literally beat up men and women so they can't go in and vote? I mean, I just couldn't talk about thugs. And of course, you look at the police; they all look like a bunch of Muslims.
It's a very, in some ways, it's a good analogy for the United States with the federal system being stress tested in Spain. If Madrid, which runs the Guardia Civil, which is like their national police force, if Madrid allows a free election in Catalan, then the Basque regions might do it next. And they've had a more proven history of terrorism, the ETA. The Catalans do not, but the Catalans are like some of the smartest, most industrious people. They have their own language, never mind. They have a language which is like 2/3 Spanish, partly French, and it's got its own thing. So they have their own unique culture and language, and they don't want to be just, dictated by Brussels via Madrid.
Since the time of Hippocrates, the father of modern Western medicine, in 420 BC, the ancients have marveled at the power of whey protein from milk and cheese. That's why I'm so proud to announce the latest addition to the InfoWars Life family, True Whey Protein from InfoWars Life. It's produced right here in the United States of America under the strictest high-quality organic conditions. Our True Whey Protein from InfoWars Life contains a whopping 20 grams of protein per serving. We went out and did massive research and found the very best company and facility to develop our whey. And it took us years to finally get contacts with some of the larger, most respected companies to bring you a super high quality whey protein at a very reasonable price. That way you get the benefits and the taste of high-quality whey while supporting our information warfare operation against the globalists. Doing our research, one thing continued to really stand out. It's not just that cows and their milk are associated with the best, highest quality protein, but also that those cows be grass-fed. That is essential. And all of this whey protein comes from grass-fed happy cows. This is the very best way that we were able to bring to market. Please try it for yourself and tell us what you think. Again, thank you so much for all your support. It is True Whey from InfoWarsLife.com.